Opening my eyes, I saw books spread out in front of me and a notebook in my hand. I froze for a moment, looking around in confusion. Wasn't this my bedroom before I was kicked out of the house? The wall still had the poster of my favorite actress taped up. Seeing all this, I nearly fainted from shock. After a moment of daze, I quickly grabbed my phone to check the date, my heart tightening. Today was the first Sunday after I started my senior year of high school. Had I been reborn? Was it because after being kicked out, I had no money for food, fainted in that cold basement rental room? While I was still in a state of confusion, unable to react, the door was pushed open. It was my stepmother, Susan. She gave a fake smile and said, "Sophie, come downstairs for dinner. Your dad's home tonight, too." Looking at her face, I couldn't help but recall my past life. When my dad was around, she acted so kind to me, but behind his back, she made me do all the dirty, exhausting chores. My mom passed away from illness when I was in elementary school. By my sophomore year, Susan remarried my dad, bringing along her own daughter, Lily, who was the same age as me. From then on, my life changed completely. Due to their manipulation, my relationship with my dad gradually deteriorated. He often got angry with me over trivial matters. No matter how I explained, he wouldn't listen, and in the end, he even kicked me out of the house. The two of them pretended to stop him, but in reality, they were fanning the flames. When I left home, my dad took all my bank cards, leaving me with just a few hundred yuan. I was just a high school student back then. No formal company would hire me. I could only hand out flyers on the street. My fainting spell happened because I'd spent all my money on medicine, hadn't eaten for days, and the basement rental was freezing cold. During the time I was kicked out, Susan often brought Lily to where I handed out flyers to humiliate me. Later, I resolved to study hard and got into Tsinghua University, but the two of them tampered with my application. I was supposed to go to Tsinghua, but ended up at some obscure private college, lost in the crowd. If heaven has given me a chance to start over, this time I will definitely not let them bully me anymore. Perhaps she noticed the shift in my emotions, so Susan quickly dropped her smile. "I only came to call you down for your dad's sake." "Don't act so smug!" There's still plenty of time. I need to gradually change my dad's perception of me. Only when he stands by my side can I defeat them. I tidied up the books on my desk and followed her downstairs, thinking of ways to turn the situation around as I went. The time I was kicked out was because my dad said some company documents in the study went missing, causing him to lose a big contract. Susan claimed that I was the only one who went into the study that day. Thus, my dad believed I was the one who lost the documents. Added to that were Susan and Lily's accusations, leaving me with no way to defend myself. Because of this, I completely lost hope in my dad, preferring to starve outside rather than beg him to take me back. Downstairs, I saw my dad and Lily already seated at the dining table. Lily looked at me as I came down and said, "Dad, she's here now. We can start eating." My dad rarely ate at home due to his busy social engagements. Susan deliberately waited until he was seated before calling me down, making me look inconsiderate. Sure enough, my dad glanced at me and said, "You're grown up, but still so thoughtless." After washing my hands, I sat down and said, "I'm sorry, Dad, for making you wait. I was studying upstairs and came down as soon as Aunt Susan called, but I didn't expect everyone was already at the table." Perhaps not expecting me to say that, Susan hurriedly explained, "Oliver, I was too busy and forgot. Don't misunderstand." I lowered my head, fidgeting with my fingers, and said softly, "It's okay, Aunt. I'm just a little hungry, no big deal. Just made Dad wait, that's all." As Susan was about to speak, my dad picked up his chopsticks and started eating. Susan glared at me angrily, and I responded with an innocent smile. My dad happened to catch this scene. After dinner, I immediately stood up to clear the dishes. My dad frowned and said, "We have a housekeeper. You should focus on your studies instead." My hand paused for a moment. Then I gently replied, "It's fine, Dad. When you're not home, I've always been the one washing dishes. Aunt Susan said I should practice more. She's really thoughtful." Hearing this, Susan waved her hands hurriedly, looking embarrassed. "That's not it, Oliver. Lily often washes dishes too. I just wanted to help the girls build independence." "Then let Lily wash tonight. Sophie, you can rest." "No need, I'll wash. Lily doesn't usually do it." What if she gets hurt? I bluntly refused her suggestion. Hearing this, Susan immediately pushed Lily to stand up as she noticed my dad's darkening expression. Lily stood up reluctantly and walked into the kitchen, and I followed her. In the kitchen, Lily slammed the dishes into the sink and snapped. "Sophie, I'm warning you. Don't play tricks. Wash all these yourself and watch your mouth around Dad. If there's a next time, I'll tear it apart." As I washed the dishes, I deliberately provoked her. "Dad's still home. After all, I'm his biological daughter. You're the one who should watch your words." Sure enough, she reached out to push me. Normally, whenever I said something she didn't like, she'd hit or scold me, then twist the story to frame me in front of my dad, all thanks to her mother's excellent upbringing. I intentionally smashed a plate against the sink, creating a loud noise. A shard cut into my hand, and blood began to ooze out. My dad and Susan, hearing the commotion from the living room, rushed in to check. I raised my bloodied hand, quickly hiding it behind my back as they entered, pretending to reassure them. "It's okay. It's fine. Lily didn't mean to push me. She just didn't want to wash dishes. Lily, go rest. I'll handle it. I usually do it anyway. It won't take long." My dad, standing at the door, coldly glanced at Susan before calling me out to bandage the wound. Susan stepped in, pinching Lily, then hurriedly followed me with the first aid kit. She snatched the antiseptic swab from my dad's hand to bandage me herself. Seeing her tend to my wound, the anger in my dad's eyes softened somewhat. But I thought to myself, how could I let them off so easily? I deliberately squeezed out a few tears, wiping them with my other hand, and said softly, "Aunt Susan is so kind. It reminds me of when I was little, falling down, Dad would hold me, and Mom would put medicine on me. Oh, I'm sorry, Aunt. I didn't mean to break the plate. I'll use my allowance to pay for it." I pretended to look worried and flustered. "It's just a plate. Don't worry about it. Let me do it," my dad said, taking the swab back from Susan. She could only force a smile and step aside, pulling Lily to apologize to me. My dad said nothing, and I didn't speak either, but I could sense his anger. Realizing the situation was turning against her, Susan quickly comforted me with a few words, said some nice things to my dad, then dragged Lily away. I was very satisfied. My plan was working. After bandaging, my dad led me into the study and said he had something to ask me. This was the first time since I started high school that he sat down to talk to me seriously. "Sophie, I've let you suffer." Hearing this, my nose stung and tears fell. In truth, my dad used to treat me very well. But because of Susan and Lily's interference and my constant resentment toward his remarriage, it led to the outcome in my past life. I silently vowed, from now on, I will definitely bring my dad back to my side. "It's okay, Dad, as long as you're happy." I smiled obediently, making him feel even more guilty. I didn't explain everything, but I believed that, as a businessman, he understood these kinds of tricks. He sighed, for the first time telling me how he met Susan. At a party, a friend introduced him to a kind woman whose husband had died in an accident, leaving a daughter around my age. He thought having a peer could help me feel less lonely. But I always opposed them from the start, making him think I was unreasonable. However, he didn't know that I initially wanted to get along with them. It was just that they were fake in front of others, but schemed against me behind my back, which made me despise them. I didn't say more, because it wouldn't be easy to make him believe me now. I need to gradually destroy the image of those two in his eyes. After that, I returned to my bedroom. Lying on the bed, recalling everything, I realized it all stemmed from my own weakness. From now on, I absolutely cannot be weak anymore. I must learn to be strong and fight back. That night, Susan came to my room under the pretense of bringing fruit, but as soon as she entered, she threw it onto the bed and approached to pinch my arm. "You'd better not touch me! My dad's in the next room. If you dare lay a hand on me, I'll scream. Don't forget, he was already unhappy with you today." Hearing this, she stopped, but still threatened that she could kill me anytime. Like mother, like daughter, always bullying the weak. I shrugged, gave a cold smile, and slipped into bed to sleep. All the grievances I endured today, I'll repay them double in the future. Seeing this, Susan cursed, "You little wretch," and stormed out, slamming the door. I curled up in the blanket, unable to hold back my tears. I miss my mom. Thinking of the tragic end of my past life, I silently swore to seize this opportunity and never live a weak life again. The next Monday morning, I woke up early, packed my school bag, ate breakfast, and waited with the driver for Lily to come down. In the past, to avoid her, I always took the bus to school. But now, I will gradually reclaim what's mine. When Lily came downstairs and saw me, she froze for a moment, then rolled her eyes in disdain before getting into the car. On the way, she mocked, "Oh, wasn't someone always acting high and mighty? Why no bus today? I'm riding in a car my dad paid for, so of course I can ride whenever I want." I deliberately emphasized my dad. Sure enough, Lily's face flushed with anger. In the car, I clenched my fists, trying to restrain myself from looking at her, afraid I might not resist the urge to strangle her right there. At school, when classmates saw me and Lily step out of the same car, they crowded around her, curious. I stood by and calmly said, "From now on, I'll go to and from school with Lily." Right, my stepsister who came into this house with her mom after the remarriage. Hearing me call her my sister, Lily's face filled with rage. But at school, she had to maintain her rich girl image, so she didn't dare act out, though her eyes seemed ready to tear me apart. I raised an eyebrow, gave a provocative smile, then turned and walked into class. Behind me, the classmates' whispers didn't stop, with some saying, "So she's the real heiress." Without turning back, I knew Lily's face must be contorted with fury. Standing at the classroom door, I took a few deep breaths before stepping inside. At school, my grades were always top-notch, while Lily's... Because of this, her mom and she spent a lot to hire tutors, but it didn't improve much. Every time grades came out, Lily would be furious, and at night, I'd surely get scolded. Later, to avoid too much bullying, I intentionally messed up a few test answers. As long as I did well on the college entrance exam, that was enough. Thinking of this, I gritted my teeth in resentment. I won't let it happen again. What's mine, I will absolutely not let go. In class, I sat at my usual desk, took out my books, and started studying. Today, I didn't stay silent as before. I actively raised my hand to answer the teacher's questions and enthusiastically helped classmates with their homework. Some classmates, seeing my change, gathered around, excitedly saying they liked this new me. But Lily's lackeys stood aside, mocking, "Must have eaten something weird over the weekend." I laughed and replied, "Lily and I ate the same thing. Do you think she ate something weird too?" Hearing this, Lily glared angrily at her friends, looking like she'd swallowed a live fly. They hurriedly apologized. She forced a smile and said, "It's fine," but her hand gripped her sleeve tightly. Seeing her like this, I felt immense satisfaction. At lunchtime, I used to eat alone, but today, the classmates I'd tutored that morning surrounded me, asking me to continue guiding them. They praised my teaching method as very clear. Of course, it's not surprising. I'd already finished the senior curriculum and gotten into Tsinghua, so how could I not teach these lessons? Seeing me attract attention, Lily thought of a way to pull it back to herself. She announced, "This afternoon, I'll treat the whole class to pastries." Lily always loved attention and spent money generously. Naturally, it was my dad's money. She looked at me with a challenging gaze, as if daring me to compete. I smiled and said slowly, "During the afternoon breaks, anyone with questions can come ask me. I'm free today." Hearing this, many classmates thanked me, completely ignoring Lily's offer. I looked at her, pointed to my head, and mouthed, "Use your brain." Lily's face turned pale, and she angrily slammed her chopsticks on the table, making a loud noise. Many classmates frowned in displeasure. This was hardly the behavior of a rich heiress. After school that afternoon, there was an evening self-study session. In the past, to catch the bus, I rarely stayed for it. Lily used this to badmouth me, saying I was arrogant and privileged. She even fabricated that she was the true biological daughter of the family. With her flashy dressing, people naturally believed her. So when she ordered me to clean or take out trash, classmates thought it was normal. That evening, contrary to my expectations, my dad ate at home and said he'd do so every night from now on. Strangely, Susan and Lily's smiles seemed forced, with a hint of worry in their eyes. Did they not want him home? I silently suspected, but didn't show it, afraid of alerting them. That night, when I got up to use the bathroom, I noticed Lily's door ajar, her room light on, and voices coming from inside. "From now on, when Dad's home, you need to watch your behavior. Don't keep showing that annoyed face. I know, Mom, but what do we do? If he's home every night, won't it affect our plans? Shut up, take it slow and be careful. From now on, never say such things again. Their voices faded and I couldn't hear more. Plans? What plans? Sure enough, they had an agenda. I need to pay more attention to their actions. I suddenly recalled the important documents I lost in my past life. Could this be related to them? If not, why did they frame me at that time? The more I thought about their strange behavior back then, the more suspicious I became. Perhaps I need to act first. After deciding this, the next day after school, I used the excuse of tutoring a classmate to buy a few tiny cameras. That night, after dinner, I pretended to look for a book in the study and secretly installed the cameras in various spots. After checking my phone and confirming I could monitor the entire study, I left. These cameras connected directly to my phone, very convenient, but I didn't tell my dad or he'd scold me. That evening, as my dad and I watched TV on the sofa, Lily brought a plate of cut fruit, deliberately showing a bandaged finger, acting like she'd cut it herself. My dad looked heartbroken, praising her maturity. From an angle my dad couldn't see, Lily gave me a triumphant smile. Susan walked over and said, "Lily cut the fruit despite her injury, honey. You should eat more." What a touching mother-daughter bond. Initially, I didn't want to say more, but Lily's smug face was too irritating. I reached out to massage my dad's shoulders, saying I'd make breakfast for him tomorrow and asking him to wake up early. Hearing this, my dad was shocked, asking when I'd learn to cook. I replied proudly, Of course. The housekeeper once asked the chef to teach me. I got burned a lot back then, and she even said she'd fire the chef so I could cook myself. Proof my skills are great. Hearing this, Susan's face tensed up. My dad angrily threw a piece of fruit onto the coffee table, looking displeased. He didn't want to hear their explanations, turning to me and saying I didn't need to cook anymore. My safety was more important. Susan and Lily glared at me with eyes that could pierce, but I coldly stared back. I've lived 2 lives. Why would I fear them? Seeing me openly defy her, Susan gritted her teeth. She must be plotting to get rid of me now. On Saturday afternoon, I made plans with a friend to go shopping. On the way to the mall, I spotted a familiar figure. Feeling something was off, I followed to check. It was Susan with a man, walking into a Japanese restaurant. The man looked familiar, like I'd seen him somewhere. So, I decided to go say hello. As I entered, I saw them talking. Susan laughed shyly. I walked straight to their table and greeted them. Seeing me, Susan's face showed a hint of panic. She quickly picked up her glass to drink, hiding the tension in her eyes. Sophie, what are you doing here? I'm just eating with an old friend. This is your Uncle Tom. Perhaps afraid I'd misunderstand, she hurriedly explained. The man across from her smiled naturally. So you're Sophie? I'm a close friend of your dad's. I just returned from another city and plan to visit him in a few days. The more they explained, the stranger it seemed. He just returned, but didn't visit my dad first, instead meeting my stepmom alone? Though suspicious, I didn't show it. After greeting them, I left the restaurant. Seeing Susan's guilty look, I was sure something shady was going on. As I walked and thought, I still couldn't figure out how to uncover it. Back home that night, Susan avoided my gaze when she saw me, further confirming my suspicions. My dad had a habit of organizing documents in the study at night. I deliberately followed him in, leaving the door slightly ajar to see Susan's reaction. As I casually asked him about unimportant things, I secretly watched the crack. Sure enough, within minutes, I saw Susan's slippers appear at the door. She must feel guilty. Why else would she sneak around to eavesdrop? I smirked to myself. Since we weren't discussing anything important, she listened for a while before leaving. Back in my room, lying on the bed, I wondered who I could trust. After all, I was still in school and couldn't monitor everything alone. After some thought, I felt Uncle Tom, the family driver, was a good choice. He only drove me to school and took my dad around town. When my dad was on business trips, he was free. Plus, he'd been our driver since my mom was alive, and they had a good relationship. I need to find a chance to talk to him. The next morning, I used the excuse of buying books and asked Uncle Tom to drive me. In the car, I told him about yesterday, hoping he'd keep an eye on Susan's movements. He seemed surprised by my bluntness, staying silent. Sitting in the back, I grew anxious. What if he'd been bribed by Susan? Just as I panicked, he pulled over, leading me into a small restaurant. Only then did he speak. To be honest, miss, I've suspected Susan for a while. He explained that whenever my dad was on a business trip, Susan went out, never letting him drive. Usually, she insisted on a private driver, but those times she went alone, returning with lots of bags, claiming she'd been shopping. Once, I couldn't resist and followed her. I saw her meet a man, Tom High, your dad's friend. They met in a secluded place. I didn't dare go in, just waited outside. She came out at night, still carrying bags. Back home, she told everyone she'd been shopping. Hearing this, my heart sank. So Susan was really cheating? And with my dad's friend? Thinking of her panicked expression yesterday, I was even more certain this wasn't just a friendly meeting. If they were just friends, why the tension? I asked why he didn't tell my dad. He sighed. I have no proof. If the boss knew I'd spied on the lady, he'd think the worst. Plus, she's clever enough to turn it around, and I'd be the one to suffer. I'm nearly 50. I don't want to risk ruining my life. I understood his concern, but still hoped he'd help. I needed an ally. After some thought, he nodded, his gaze firm. Either way, I'll help you. Consider it for your late mother. She treated everyone in the house so well when she was alive. I was deeply grateful. I shared my suspicion that Susan was cheating. I asked him to secretly record a video as evidence, ideally enough to take her down immediately. I also asked him to investigate Tom High's background. Since he'd worked for my dad for years, he likely had connections to help. After sorting this out, we returned home. A week later, after school, the homeroom teacher called me to her office. I thought back. Had I done anything wrong? As I sat down and took a sip of water, she said, Sophie, I'm glad you're helping classmates with their studies, but you can't form cliques to bully others. Hearing this, I was completely baffled and asked, when did I form cliques, let alone bully someone? Seeing my expression, she shook her head, looking disappointed, and continued, a student wrote me a letter saying you're using your good grades to lead the class in isolating Lily. It must be because I embarrassed Lily last time, so she used this as an excuse to retaliate. I immediately explained to the teacher about that day, clarifying that she was the one always bullying me. After listening, the teacher seemed apologetic for jumping to conclusions, saying she'd ask classmates to verify. Back in class, I felt a pair of eyes fixed on me. Looking up, it was indeed Lily. Her eyes gleamed with unconcealed glee, probably thinking I'd been scolded and wanting to see me embarrassed. Clearly, she wrote that letter. I smiled faintly, walked to the podium, bowed politely to the class, and said, I'm sorry, I won't help with tutoring anymore. Someone wrote a letter to the teacher accusing me of leading the class to isolate Lily. I can't bear this injustice, so please figure out your problems yourselves from now on. With that, I ran to my desk, burying my face and sobbing loudly. Ha! Who doesn't know how to play the victim? Sure enough, after my performance, classmates grew angry, blaming the letter writer. Their gazes toward Lily turned to disgust. Some said, who's so petty to do something so annoying? I stood up, wiped my tears, and approached Lily, saying softly, Lily, I never isolated you. If I did something to upset you, I'm sorry. Sorry, little sister. It's your turn for cleaning duty today. I already did it for you. Can you forgive me? As soon as I finished, some classmates confirmed Lily wrote the letter, angrily saying, Sophie, you did nothing wrong. Why help her with duty? That's outrageous. I lowered my head, my voice choked. It's fine. Lily came into our home with her mom. I don't want her to feel wronged or let others think I, as the biological daughter, bully an outsider. The class was stunned. Hadn't Lily always claimed to be my dad's biological daughter? A lie? Combined with her past orders to me, classmates now firmly believed she wrote the letter. Some even called her selfish. Faced with the criticism, Lily couldn't hold back, standing up and yelling, Sophie, just you wait. See how my mom deals with you tonight. Regretting it instantly, she tried to explain, but it was too late. Her words fueled the class's anger. Many began scolding her as vicious, saying she teamed up with her mom to bully my dad's real daughter. Now, her true colors were exposed. She pretended to be obedient outside, but was like this inside. Seeing my plan succeed, I returned to my desk, crying even louder. Classmates pitied me more, rushing to comfort me while cursing Lily. Now she was truly a thorn in everyone's side. No amount of explanation would help. Finally, Lily, overwhelmed, ran out of class crying. Watching her leave, I thought, what an idiot. Poke her once and she explodes. I pretended to chase after her, but classmates held me back, advising me not to be too kind and to think of myself. They promised not to let Lily bully me anymore. Outside class, Lily cried while calling Susan. I'd anticipated this. Whenever in trouble, she relied on her mom. So I secretly texted my dad. Dad, I had a fight with Lily. He rushed to school. At the gate, he coincidentally met Susan, who'd arrived by taxi. They went to the office together. Inside, as soon as Susan entered, Lily hugged her, crying that I'd bullied her and twisted the truth in class. I stood aside, silently wiping tears. Seeing us both crying, my dad asked the teacher what happened. Unable to clarify, she called a classmate to recount it. Most classmates now sided with me, so the account favored me. My dad's expression grew darker. Hearing this, Lily snapped, calling the classmate a petty wretch. As soon as she said it, my dad stepped forward, slapping her and shouting, "What kind of language is that? Have some decency." As a businessman, he valued reputation. If this got out, people would think the White family couldn't raise kids. Slapped by my dad, Lily fell silent, behaving better. Susan hurriedly apologized to the classmate. Before leaving, the classmate hesitated, then told my dad, "Uncle, Lily often made Sophie take out trash, claiming she's the real White daughter. Please look after her more." With that, she bowed and left. What a great teammate. Sure enough, hearing this, my dad turned, glaring at Lily, then angrily pulled me out of school. Susan hurriedly dragged Lily after us. My dad got in the car, slamming the door, clearly not wanting them to join. Susan forced a smile, then took Lily in a taxi home. In the car, my dad rubbed my head, sighing, "Sophie, I didn't know you suffered so much. I'm sorry. I've neglected you." I shook my head, saying nothing, but planned how to deal with them once home. Surely Susan was coaching Lily on excuses. Indeed, upon arriving, they knelt before my dad. Lily sobbed, "Dad, I'm sorry. I know I was wrong. I was childish. I'll do all her cleaning duties at school from now on." Susan cried too. "It's my fault for not raising her well. I'll pack up and leave with her. Please calm down. She only said nonsense because she feared losing face with friends." She ordered the housekeeper to pack. She knew my dad well. Knowing he'd soften, she put herself in a pitiful position for sympathy as soon as they entered. If he refused, the staff might think him heartless. Seeing them like this, my dad softened, telling them to stand and talk. But Lily didn't stand, crawling to me, grabbing my hand, begging forgiveness. "Sis, I really know I was wrong. From now on, I'll listen to you." Susan was clever. If I didn't forgive, my dad would think me petty. In this situation, I had to temporarily forgive. No problem, there'd be more chances for revenge. But these two made me sick. It felt like swallowing a live fly, utterly disgusting. I'd suffered enough in my past life. How could I let them disgust me again? "Just wait." I bent down, gently helping Lily up, wiping her tears, and said, "How could I not forgive you, little sister? It's my fault. When you said I wasn't the real daughter and made me take out trash, it's because I didn't explain clearly, letting it escalate." Hearing this, the anger in my dad's eyes, which had almost subsided, flared up again. He snorted coldly, ordering, "Go back to your mom's house and think it over before returning." Susan didn't expect a single sentence to flip the situation, turning it against her and Lily. With my dad angry, if they lingered, the consequences might worsen. So she quickly dragged Lily, grabbed a few clothes, and left. Watching them go, I felt a bit relieved. Finally, the house's atmosphere was cleaner. After they left, my dad waved me over, holding my hand with a pitying gaze. "I'm sorry, Sophie, for letting you suffer. Let them stay at their mom's for a few days as punishment." I nodded silently, returning to my room to rest. Back in my room, I called Uncle Tom, asking him to take a few days off with any excuse and secretly monitor Susan. She'd gone to her mom's, likely to meet Tom High. He agreed. I urged him to be careful, prioritizing his safety if anything happened. He also shared key info. Tom High ran a new tech startup, no match for my dad's company. He was developing a robot to prove himself and attract investment. Hanging up, I recalled the stolen documents. That incident not only cost my dad a big contract, but also crashed the company's stock. But why did Susan and Lily still have the mood to mock me? I sensed a hidden plot. Thinking this, I opened my phone. checking the home surveillance from the past few days. Busy with school, I hadn't reviewed it. Initially, nothing stood out, but as I was about to exit, I saw Susan in the study. My dad had warned that it held important documents. No one should enter without reason. Yet she sneaked in. She listened at the door, and after confirming no one was around, quickly went to the computer, plugging in a USB. Though the camera didn't capture what she copied, after finishing, she listened again before leaving. The timestamp was last Friday. No one was home that day. More importantly, she never mentioned this to my dad. He'd forbidden anyone from touching that computer, as it held all critical tech documents. She didn't work outside and never cared about this stuff, so why sneak around? Something's fishy. I screenshot the video, planning to show my dad with Uncle Tom's evidence. Timing it, Susan's birthday was a week away. She'd return soon. Since marrying my dad, she'd thrown lavish birthdays yearly, mostly to show off. In my past life, the day before her birthday, my dad's documents were stolen, and I was kicked out. At school, she'd gotten Lily a few days off, giving me some peace. 2 days later, after dinner, as I headed upstairs to study, Uncle Tom called. He'd followed and recorded Susan meeting Tom High, even catching them kissing in a car. Their relationship was definitely improper. He sent me the video and photos. I backed them up on my computer, then went to the study to report to my dad. This time, I only showed him the video of Susan secretly copying documents. If he saw the kissing video, he'd hide it and handle it quietly. But I didn't want that. I wanted those two exposed. After watching, my dad sat silently, his face dark, saying nothing for a long time. I couldn't guess his thoughts, only waiting patiently. "Sophie, why did you suspect her and check the camera?" he asked, his voice low. I calmly replied, "I saw her in the study once, acting very familiar. Definitely not her first time." I lied, but felt no guilt. The more he listened, the more serious his gaze became. I'll investigate this thoroughly." I continued, "Dad, I once saw Susan at a Japanese restaurant with a man. When I greeted them, she introduced him as Tom High, saying you know him." Hearing Tom High, my dad's eyes narrowed as if realizing something. He opened the computer, printed documents, edited some content, but didn't delete it. He must only suspect, not confirm. Editing was a precaution. Keeping it avoided, arousing Susan's suspicion. Done, he grabbed the documents and left hurriedly, saying, "Sleep early, dear." The next morning, he called, saying he was on a business trip. That night, Susan and Lily would return to prepare her birthday. He asked me to stay out for 2 days, as he'd be back then. I didn't understand his sudden trip, but didn't ask, simply saying, "Yes, I know." That evening, back home, Susan had resumed her lady of the house demeanor. She looked at me with a smug gaze. I smirked. How long could this late autumn grasshopper jump? She must have coached Lily, as she didn't provoke me today. But I knew they were plotting something. When she asked why my dad wasn't back, I shook my head, saying I didn't know. With his frequent absences, she didn't suspect. I quietly monitored the study camera, hoping for clues. Sure enough, 2 days before her birthday at midnight, she sneaked into the study again. This time, more cautious. Perhaps because I was home. She plugged a USB into the computer. Last time, it didn't capture the content, so I'd added a camera aimed at the screen. And I saw clearly, it was the documents my dad printed yesterday. She stole them, yet she'd framed me before. My hands trembled with rage. I immediately saved the video, sending it to my dad despite the late hour. The next morning, downstairs for breakfast, my dad was back. He said he'd returned at midnight. After eating, he signaled me to check my phone. He'd altered the most critical part of the documents. That night, he'd flown abroad to sign the contract first. He calmly said, "After Susan's birthday, I'll divorce her." But how could I let this end quietly? I wanted those two disgraced. "Dad, I'm sorry, but I must do this." On Susan's birthday, I went to the MC and said the earlier congratulatory video wasn't good. There's a better version now. Since he knew me, he swapped it without checking. As Susan and my dad stood on stage toasting the guests, the big screen behind them played her kissing Tom High in the car. Spotlights hit a corner where Tom High stood. He'd disguised himself as a waiter to sneak in. Caught in the light, he set his glass down to flee, but was stopped by security. I'd predicted he'd come, giving his photo to staff beforehand, instructing them to alert me. Sure enough, he showed. The hall buzzed with shock and gossip. No one expected Susan to be so bold, shamelessly doing something so immoral. My dad turned, throwing his glass to the ground in fury. I stepped onto the stage, took the mic, and exposed her scheme. All along, she'd colluded with Tom High to steal my dad's company documents, then partnered with other firms. Unable to develop new products, they profited off others' work. Then I played the video of her secretly taking documents from the study. The crowd was stunned. She'd conspired with outsiders to harm the White family. They learned the documents were crucial. Leakage could crash the company's stock, even lead to bankruptcy. My dad treated her well, yet this was a scheme from the start. Seeing her plan exposed, with proof of her affair, Susan lunged at me. But my dad blocked her, slapping her to the ground. Lily rushed to hug her mom, looking pitiful. My dad's face darkened as he declared, "From today, Susan and Lily are no longer part of the White family. I'll sue them and Tom High." Susan knelt, begging, listing her contributions to the White family, claiming Tom High forced her. My dad was unmoved. "She betrayed us. How dare she beg?" Tom High suddenly shouted, "You suggested it. You said you'd marry Mr. White to get info for me. Now you're blaming me?" Lily knelt, crying, "Dad, Mom didn't mean it. Please forgive her. We promised to change." I took the mic, recounting their past bullying. The crowd was shocked. Who'd think Susan, so gentle outside, was so vicious inside? Some rich ladies scolded her. "The White family gave you luxury, and you didn't cherish it, treating their real daughter so badly." Businessmen exchanged stunned looks, expecting a birthday party. They got a shocking family drama. Recalling my past suffering, I couldn't hold back tears. Susan clung to my dad's leg, begging, but he shoved her away. Seeing her pitiful state, I remembered my past life, framed, kicked out, dying cold in a damp basement. Susan, seeing my dad's ruthlessness, raged, cursing him. "You're heartless. I asked for a company role and you refused. You control all the money, giving me scraps. I even had my daughter take your name, yet you never valued me, never brought me to important events." My dad, furious, leaned on a table, shouting, "I didn't let you work because you demanded to be director. I have to protect the company. I wanted you to enjoy life at home. Not bringing Lily to events was because she's young. I wanted her to focus on studies. I didn't take Sophie either. As for money, what haven't I bought you? Do you want my entire fortune? Know this. Besides Sophie, no one has a claim to my assets." With that, he called the police to arrest them. The next morning, the White family scandal topped online searches. Lily came begging my dad for mercy, but I kicked her out. "When you bullied me, why didn't you think of sparing me?" She knelt, crying for forgiveness. But how could I forgive? Without this, I'd have died unjustly in my past life. Evil people like them don't deserve mercy. Wrongdoers must pay. I called security to remove her. Back in my room, I sat at my desk, that familiar feeling returning. In my past life, it was from here I changed my fate. Dawn broke, I slung my school bag over my shoulder and stepped toward the sunlight.